Hey there, welcome back to Angry Bird. Before I begin, this might be long, and I appreciate if you stick to the end because there's quite a bit of things that were observed, and there's so much like fun that occurred, and there was a observation that I want to talk about and bring home at the end that I wish everybody could see, and I saw it right away. I saw it, just with my passenger in the car. I saw it with groups of people, and I just want to bring that home. So, first of all, if you don't know, I drove all the way to DC, and before I went to DC, I went somewhere else to get somebody, and then went to DC, and it just took a lot longer to get there than I had hoped. I literally drove the first day 10 hours, 10, and then the second day, coming back, I was on a road that I was familiar with, and I knew if I went on this road until this point and turned, I would be good. And I ended up missing it because me and my buddy, we were rocking out. We were doing that car ride thing, man, where you're grooving and you're having a good time. Those songs you remember when you were kids comes on, you start singing and shouting and all this shit. I missed the turn. I fucking missed the turn. So I'm like looking at my GPS at one point, and it says I have 2 hours left to get home or some shit, right? And I'm like, yeah, all right, a couple hours more, and I'm there. I'm gonna be there. It's not what happened, man. I'm like, because I turned off the GPS, I'm just like, I'm just gonna play music, concentrate on that, have some fun. I mean, I know where I'm at, I know where I gotta turn. And I missed it, and I put the GPS back on because I started realizing, like, I started looking around. It's dark and shit, and I can't. When you're familiar with roads that you've driven on, you're familiar with roads. You know when you're on one that it's not familiar. After a while, you start seeing things like, I've never seen that. I've never noticed that. And then after a while, it's like everything you see is something you didn't notice before. And you're like, wait a second. I turn back on GPS. It's like, you have to understand, I've probably been driving for a while to where I thought, at this point, I should be home. I wasn't looking at the clock. I never paid attention to the clock. Had I, because I had my sunglass case blocking the clock. So it was just the music, me and him, and driving. And I fucking missed a turn. I turned the GPS back on. Oh, by the way, you got 2.5 hours more to go. And I'm like, where the hell am I? And I'm like, I'm just some off direction, man. Like I went in the wrong way. So I turn around, like come back, and it's like, oh god, it was like the longest amount of driving I have ever done on dick sleep, ever. And the way that after I missed that turn, I was pooped, man. I'm ready to, fall asleep right there where I was at. I'm just like, god damn it, I'm gonna have to do it. This grown ass man is going to have to cave in and go get a fucking monster like a teenager to get through their shift. If you don't know, you work around teenagers, man, they pound that shit sometimes. And it's like they'll be 3 hours into their shift, like, I can't make it. Oh, I can make it now, and you're just like, damn. You need that after 3 hours? Here I am, drove all the way there 10 hours, right? I had 6 hours of sleep, and I drove 10. Where do you think I slept? I slept in my car. I'm all uncomfortable, cockeyed. I could barely sleep. My partner's snoring like a goddamn moose, and I can't get a wink. I just can't get a wink. I think I got 3 hours. If I was lucky. 3 hours. Yep. And then, so we get up. We're getting to go, and I'm exhausted. I'm on steam already, and we're just getting started for this fucking protest. He's on steam. We're just getting started, right? So we just start going, and the day was ran on like caffeine, man. It was ran on sugar. First stop, donut, man. We get this massive ass fucking. I don't even know the name of the donut shop. forgive me, I'm not good with names like that, but this donut shop was right outside of the protest like zone. It was this restaurant and line out the door practically, and I got to the front of that thing, and I never seen donuts like this in my life. I mean, I talk about fancy. Talk about fancy, man. And I took a picture of the one I bought, and it was just like the best thing. It's like eating a freaking pie or something, you know? You're just like, oh, you know, scarf that shit down. And then, you know, we start getting back out. We start going out to the protest. And if you don't know D.C. and you're not familiar, don't go there at 1 a.m. and try to sort it out, man. Don't go there at night and try to sort it out. And if you do go there at night, don't get there and then try to sort it out. Already know where you got to go before you get to town. Already have it locked in. Because I winged it. I went there at night and I didn't know what to do, really. I just figured I'd find somewhere to park, take a few hours, wake up and go protest, man. You know, like, and it never occurred to me finding parking might be a problem, you know. It never occurred to me that the garages weren't all 24 hour. You know, I was just like, they're not? You know, come from the West Coast, they always were, you know, it felt like. And, I come out here and I'm like, why isn't this one's closed? That was, where's one open? Shit, you know. So I'm driving around and there ain't nowhere to park. There ain't nowhere to go. I'm just trying to, you know, so I just decide I'm going to pick a busy street and just go straight until I find a gas station. And that's what I did. I just got on a busy street. Okay, this is pretty busy. There's got to be a gas station somewhere. And I eventually found one, pulled over, sorted it all out. And then we got to where we were supposed to go. And then we got to get to sleep. So don't do that. Don't do that. Know where you're going first, man. Don't be an idiot. Don't be a birdman. Get there all chest pumping, and then you get there and you're like, oh, fuck, now what do I do? Dumbest shit I've ever done, but not the dumbest shit, but one of them. So now we're in D.C. Now we've got our donuts. Now we're out there and we're with our people, right? Before we even get there, you don't know how many groups were there. It's off the charts, man. It was off the charts. We're in D.C. and it's just two blokes from, you know, the great state of Ohio, and we're surrounded by, you know, the teachers and just whatever group you want to think of that wants MAGA to stop fucking with them. Trump, leave us the fuck alone. They were there. They were fucking there, man. Thousands and thousands and thousands. Okay. So you get to D.C. and you got to get to the protest, and it's at the fucking Washington Monument, essentially. And wherever you go, unless you're closer, you got to walk there. So we're out there walking, you know, and we get there. We're at the monument. It's just mind-boggling big, and we're surrounded by love. Everyone's holding signs. Or, you know, we start sitting down, and we're like, you know, because I was in an area that looked like kind of like a pool bowl, and it looked like maybe that's the area because everyone was there, and you could see do on the sides and drums, and I'm just like, okay, let's check this out for a minute. And it started filling in, and, you know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes go by, and I have not seen anybody, you know, big shots. I haven't seen any, you know, organizers really. Seen people pass, but that's it. So like, shit. So, you know, we get up, we start walking around. We realized we stopped too early. We stopped way too early. See, you beat the crowds, and you get to the point where you start seeing people fill, and you see them sitting, and you're like, oh, this must be it. So we sit down, and we're filling it in with them. And then we realize, like, well, you know, nothing's happening here. So we get up, we start walking, and then everything around us was where it was happening. So I'm trying to figure out where to go now. And I'm telling my guy, and I'm walking around with the camera. I'm trying, you know, we're saying hi, and I mean, I get this baby Trump in front of me, man. This guy walking around with orange mask on, having a good time, taking photos of people, and he's got a bottle and shit. And I'm just like, I can't miss this one. I'm getting a picture with this guy. This guy's cool as fuck. Anybody, if you go to something like a protest, and you make a show yourself. You're entertaining the people there for fun because you enjoy it and you want to have a good time and you want the people in front of you to have a good time. You're my fucking hero, man. That guy was great. This guy, he had the best costume. He had full on the widest legs you ever seen. You might need a tan, bro. You might need a tan. But he had the widest legs. He had a big ass diaper on. He had a bottle, a big Trump mask, orange spray paint all over that bitch, and it was just a good fucking time, man. That guy was out there getting pictures and stuff, and I finally got my turn, and I just, we just started moving on to the next funny thing, the next group that was having a good time, and it's just nonstop. It really is. Go all the way around that Washington Monument, and it was just nonstop fun. So if you don't know, it's the backside. Like if you're coming from the Capitol building and you're going to the monument, it's the backside is where you got to be. If you're ever at a protest or an event, that's where they're going to have the people talking. And so I went around the back of the stage and I realized there was a stage, that's where I had to be, And in front of me, I saw Jamie Raskin. In a fence and Democrats, and you could see that people over there were the stars, and to the right was where they were going to end up, and out there was where I had to be to watch. So I'm cutting up the hill, and it's all like yellow taped, and I'm like a fucking, playing 007, man, going through the cuts. And the guy's at the top, he knows, hey, this is a stage, bro. You can't come here. I'm like, oh yeah. Hey, where do I go, man? How do I get in there? And he's like, yeah, you got to go around. And one side, they wasn't letting nobody in. The other side, it was like, if I wanted to be a roughhouser, I could have got in, maybe. But it was packed, and I'm just behind everyone, and it's like a hill, and then it comes down, so it's blocking my vision. I'm like up there with the camera and the extension pole trying to get shit, and I still can't see it even with that. That's how behind I was. So it was a very interesting occurrence to me because I didn't know where to go when I got there, and then I didn't know where to go when I was protesting. And then when I finally figured it out, I couldn't get in because it was too crowded. So what did I have? I had Jamie Raskin, man. Jamie Raskin. Let me tell you a little bit about Jamie. If you don't know Jamie, and I wanted to tell you one thing only about Jamie that should make you feel like this guy has something. This guy has something, right? Cory Booker, I can say he just broke the record. He talked for over 24 hours, giving a speech. And you could say, you don't know Cory. You don't know anything about Cory. But if I told you that, you'd be like, damn, that guy has a mindset. He has a mindset. He's determined. You would say that automatic. Okay. Jamie Raskin had a health concern. And through all that, I don't want to put words, because I would have to look it up to be certain, but I'm pretty sure it was cancer. And I'm pretty sure it was very serious. And I'm pretty sure this guy, I remember, wrapped in bandages and shit. And he went and voted to make sure he got his vote in during all that shit that he went through. And during all that stuff, personal crisis, he was still fighting for me. He showed up sick as a dog, fighting for his life, and he still showed up to cast his vote for me. The dude's a fucking hero in my eyes. If nothing else, if I told you nothing else, you could at least know he's fucking determined. That man is a determined man. That man is fighting for something. Now, you could be a guy that don't understand the fight, and you could not like Jamie. You could dislike Jamie, like if you're a MAGA or something. You could totally dislike him. But a guy like me, when I listen to him speak, it's the truth, the power that we all want. It really is. He says it like it is. He means what he says, and he puts like the money where his mouth is. He's as consistent as Bernie Sanders. He's as consistent as AOC. And he fought for me going through a life crisis. He still showed up for me. And I had to go meet this man. I had to. And so I got all the way up to where I was about 3 people deep. 3 people. And I couldn't get where he was because, they swarm him, so I'm off to the right a little bit. And I'm like trying to scramble and get my fucking camera out. I'm like a little kid seeing Hulk Hogan, like when, we're little kids and we're like, oh my God, this guy's so big. Ah! And, I was just like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I went to D.C. to protest. I thought I might meet people, maybe, if I got lucky. And here I was seeing Jamie. And like a kid in a candy store, I just got all excited. I got my camera. I had to make sure everybody knew I got to see him. I'm like trying to get my camera out, like, yeah, see, it's me seeing Jamie first time, And then I'm just like, God, he's got to come over here. I can't wait. And then he starts saying, he said bye, I was hoping he's coming to our side, a little bit and say something. I was going to try to maybe get a question in, maybe. But I was just so excited. And then we started leaving. I'm like, oh, I didn't shake his hand. I just want to say thank you. Jamie, please, can I shake your hand? And the man came back. He came back for me. I feel like I'm going to tear up here. That guy goes through cancer and sick as a dog. I mean, I can't tell you. The guy's he's talking and he's bandage wrapped, And, he came back for me again. And I had to take a moment. My friend's behind me as I'm getting my moment, and I'm coming to terms with this moment, absorbing it. And he's like, you fucking pussy, and I'm just like, you fucking asshole, man. It was an incredible experience, man. So, yeah, it's hard for me not to have an emotion of that moment. And you know what? When he left, and I'm sitting there having that moment, I start hearing AOC talk. And something clicked, and I'm like, I'm fucking missing it. And I get all pissed. I'm missing it. So I'm like trying to scramble now to find an alternative angle. And there just wasn't. There just wasn't. Everybody had the same idea, man. I couldn't get in. You just cheered if they cheered. You couldn't hear the speech. You couldn't make out the words. Everybody in where we were kind of laughing about it. Hey, when they cheer, we cheer. It sucked that I wasn't in it, after that. So then, we're there for hours, man. Hours. And we're getting to the point now where we can't really see the event. So we're just there to cheer on the outside, right? And, I tell him, I said, you know what? Let's go see what else is going on. And we started walking around, and we actually separated at this point because he needed a bike, and I wanted a bike, but I didn't have the means to really get a bike. So I was just going to trek back fast, speed walk, and I could walk faster than about anybody. So he had his bike. And so we started going back. He was on the bike, and I was on, we're going to see different things. And we got separated, and I come across a couple different things. The first thing I came across is all these different little groups. As I'm walking, you could see groups, man. And then, no matter how far I went, no matter how far I went, everywhere up and down that entire stretch of grass between the monument and the Capitol building, there were protesters. Now we didn't fill in all the space, but we were across the whole thing. At the end of it, under the Capitol, there was somebody speaking in a different language. Now I was too far to make it out. I was too far. But then I started seeing it. It was a large ass group by itself. And I was like, wow, what the heck is that? But, to go see them, I would keep going straight. And I was like, okay, so I started heading towards that, because I want to see what is going on over there. And that's when the Palestine March hit me. If you weren't there, it's hard to envision what I saw. It really is. So I get to this group and I'm heading. It's a long stretch of grass, man. I get to this group and it's all, if you weren't there, I'm not trying to sound racist, but it was basically, Indians, Arabic people. Okay. And I got into the group and I'm seeing kids play. I'm seeing people hugging each other. I'm seeing people like, like, hey, long time no see, And I'm standing there and I'm absorbing what I'm seeing. And, I'm nodding, people making eye contact with me. Hey, thumbs up, hey, just giving eye contact and saying hi to everybody. And, I went up to a guy, he's close to me. We made eye contact. He was close enough for me to say something. I was like, you must be proud, man. Look at all these people that showed. You must be proud. And he's like, this is all we can do. This is it. This is all we can do. No one's listening. This is all we can do. But I said, and I said right there, I said, and you're doing it right. You're doing it right. And I'm with you, and all I can tell you is I hear you and I see you. And, like, I hope you have a great day. Yeah, you too. Thanks, brother. And I kept going, right? So this is like massive, man. And as I get to the street, I get through them to the street. That's when I started hearing it. And I'm like, I look to the left, and it's people marching. They're coming towards us. And I was like, yeah, we're marching. Okay, where are we going? And I get my camera out, and I'm like getting excited. There's more stuff going on. I didn't realize at that moment what I was seeing. I didn't, but I just thought, man, we're moving. Like the whole group's moving. What I didn't realize is that everyone there was only for the Palestine protest. The Palestine protest against Gaza and the genocide was separated. And then the group over there speaking a different language, like I never actually made it. I didn't make it to that group. I started following the Palestine group. Such an idiot, I was like focused on one thing and like a goddamn ADHD squirrel. And I started doing something else, man. I mean, that's how much shit there was to do. What'd you want to participate in? So I started following them for a minute. And this line of people, I felt, was about as big as any of the other protests that the only thing bigger was the one where Jamie and AOC was talking. And that's because it had a lot more groups. It really did. It had all the vets. It had all the teachers. It had all the other mini groups, like in the big groups, all within it. Palestine groups didn't have other groups. It's just Palestinians. Palestinians, Gazans, So what I realized at that moment, and I recognized it 3 other times before that, it just didn't register till that moment, is that they were by themselves. They were doing their own thing. They were there because hands off Gaza, right? Hands off means hands off. If you want them hands off of you, you could show up. You were welcome there. So these people show up hands off Gaza, right? So I'm like with this group, I'm following them. They're going this way. They're going towards me, and I'm going against them. And I'm just like, And I got to tell you something. I felt like the only person suspect was me. This is what I'm saying. There's a girl I knew that would not walk into a place. She was my boss, and she would not walk into my place of work without my escort. That's how dangerous she felt it was. And I'm just thinking to myself, come on, man, there's lights, it's a parking lot, you just have to walk in, but she wanted to make sure every time before she left that car that I was aware and I was waiting for her to get to the door. The reason why I bring that up is because I felt like the person these people might be afraid of. And I'm sitting there, and I got a shaved head, and I got a black cap that says freedom on it. Black caps with freedom could have a blue line. It could have there's different meanings behind some of those. And, I could get the suspect feeling. That's why when I stopped in the group, kind of like looking around just to kind of absorb the vibe, the music they were playing, the vibe of the group. And all I could feel was the love of it. I couldn't feel nothing else, But the people looking at me, the men, would nod, they'd make eye contact and nod. But a lot of people wouldn't. A lot of people were like, they wouldn't look at me. They didn't, I don't know how to explain it. You walk through a group of people that you're familiar with, everybody kind of looks at you and, feels different, man, than when you walk through a group of people that you're not kind of like the in group within the group, and they don't know you. It feels different, man. I'm telling you, it's just a different vibe. They look at you different. So anyway, so I'm walking there, and I'm marching through, and I just feel like it was the biggest one. That was felt bigger almost to me than the whole other event prior. And so I followed them around a little bit. And then I'm just thinking to myself, shoot, man, my buddy's out there on a bike somewhere, and I ended up heading back, trying to find him. I called him, and he was like, I got lost or something. I'm on my way, and he got twisted around on a bike somewhere. I mean, Washington ain't no joke, man. If you don't know where you're going, it isn't. Like, for me, it was simple. We walked from the Capitol, where we were, to the Capitol of the Washington Monument. I just knew I had to walk back up, it was simple to me. But if you're not familiar with like that kind of thinking, you can get lost real quick. You could take a left or a right, go for a little bit, and then go, oh damn, where am I? And everything looks familiar, and you don't know where you're at, So we get back, and we start driving, and that's kind of the event, right? So what I want to talk about specifically to bring home is the Palestinian March. Because Democrats overall, I think, understand, but the Palestinians understand more. The Palestinians understand, the Gazans understand the blind spot the Democrats don't see. And I saw it. This is our blind spot. This is the spot that will make us lose over and over and over again. These are the things that make a Democrat look dishonest. We're fucking dishonest when it comes to this shit. So this is what I noticed. And I got to tell you, my personal vibe was stabbed at this moment. And the rest of the day, my heart had a sink to it because of this fucking moment. And I wanted to register to every Democrat out there right now that we got a serious fucking problem. We have a serious fucking problem. So here we go. I'm passing the Palestinians. And I'm like seeing the stuff they're selling. They got, Free Gaza and signs, posters and shit. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, and I was trying to find something I would pick. I'm going to support them too. I'm going to support all these groups, man. They're all my brothers. All of them. They're all my sisters. All of them. The only ones that aren't are the ones that intend me harm. So these people aren't intending me harm. They're saying hi to me. They're proud. They're full of love. They're just, interesting. So I'm over there trying to buy something, and a comment gets made. They deserve it. Or something shit. And I'm like, I just immediately am offended. I'm immediately pissed. I'm immediately wanting to stomp faces. Because that's the bloke I am. I just can't stand it when people are unempathetic in that manner. So I'm unempathetic in that manner. These people are losing their families and livelihoods, and over there, they all these people can do is sit and watch them die. They can do nothing but what they're doing. And then somebody made a comment like they fucking deserve it. So I'm sitting there like, fuck, what is going on? It didn't register to me to that moment that something fishy was up. Because the person that said it was like holding fucking signs about hands off other shit. They were there to protest other shit. But boy, when they saw the Palestinians, they were totally like, I don't know why you guys are here. Like, it was like, what the fuck? Like, you guys, did you really just say that shit? Right? So I'm thinking like to myself, man, this has got to be just some fucking, somebody that's sees the attack Hamas did and can't get over it. They don't see nothing but that, or they make an excuse in their head why the genocide occurs. And I'm just like, I can't believe what I just saw or heard. So I get to the bigger groups, right? The bigger groups, when I'm walking around the monument, having a good time, meeting Trump, meeting Jamie, meeting all these people. There's chants, dun, 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 and then people are chanting, dun, 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 and people are chanting. They're cheering. So they say something, free them, cheer, free, cheer. And then free Gaza, and there are people that wouldn't. I'm not shitting you. I couldn't make this up, man. They weren't. I would hear like, oh, I disagree with that one. Anything but that one. Like were the comments. How the hell are we ever going to get united when we are unempathetic to our own? They would have voted for us. The Palestinian people would have voted for us. These Arabic people would have voted for us had we just took a stand against Israel genociding them. What's interesting is every one of them understands the crimes that occurred on October 7th. Everybody I meet, what do you think about October 7th? That shouldn't have happened. They should never have done that. That nobody deserved that. And what you got to understand is these people are desperate, and they live in an outdoor prison, and they get radicalized because they have no freedoms and rights or voice, or and they're contained like a caged animal until they explode. And so Hamas is the caged animal that exploded. The people are the Indians getting measles blankets. And people are just like cheering it on. Or turning an eye. You deserve it. And I was surrounded by people saying, free Gaza, next to the guys saying, The Palestinians see it. They know they can't be in our group. Half of us don't like them for some fucking reason. Half of us are cheering their genocide for some fucking reason. It looked like to me. I'm just a bloke in Washington, man, from a state, out of state. I don't know if this is the general consensus, but it was the consensus of my own passenger. It was a consensus among the cheers in the crowd. It was a consensus amongst how we separated our groups out at the fucking protest. We made a mistake. We made a mistake with these people. And if you don't realize you can't leave them out, then not only do we not deserve to win, we don't deserve to win, but we're just as bad as MAGA. They are just immigrants to us if we treat them like that. The way MAGA treats immigrants is no fucking different. And it was the most disturbing fucking thing I got to see out of the whole fucking rally was that realization live. So, I'm not going to argue for Israel. I'm going to argue for life. The people that were attacked on October 7th didn't deserve it. And the people that are being murdered right now, wiped out, cities burned, hospitals burned, everything burned, the people giving them aid shot and killed. They're being wiped out before our eyes. And my own people have turned their eyes to that. If you ever wanted to fix the Democratic Party, you got to fix that. My opinion. Because we're dishonest if we don't. We are a dishonest group if we don't do that. You can't stick up for LGBTQ and make statements for them and stand before them in harm and then go like this when your neighbors' families are getting murked and genocided out overseas because you justify it in your head because there was an attack occurred a year or two ago. And you're just going to be like, well, they deserve it then. It's the equivalent of Trump attacking China right now. And then China responding to Trump's attack and deciding themselves that they're just going to wipe us all out and just take our land. What choice did we have over Trump attacking? Honestly, an average bloke. What choice does a Palestinian have, an average bloke? What choice is that? You see, they don't really have a choice. They're just born there, live there. And then all of a sudden, somebody they know, their government attacks, and they gotta get wiped out because of it. It's fucked up, man. It's blaming an entire culture of people for the crimes of a handful. And then we're out there ignoring it. And then when they're calling for their own freedom, we're not cheering with them. And then we wonder why we lost. It's dishonesty, guys. It's dishonesty. And my own passenger was justifying it the whole ride home. So explain that. You know? I just planted seeds. If you don't know what seeds to plant over Israel and Palestinians, if you don't know what seed to plant the seed of life. Who deserves to die for another's crime? Period. Ever. In the history of the world. Who deserves to die and be wiped out for someone else's crime? You know, just because you're convinced that people that read the jihad, read the teachings of Muhammad, can get radicalized. It's no different than our Christian nationalists that are fucking holding us at gunpoint, or trying to anyway, right now. There's no difference. So if Trump does something, should we be wiped out for what Trump does? He's a Christian nationalist, or at least the people behind him are Christian nationalists, and they're leading the charge to go hurt Greenlanders. What if Greenlanders had the tech to wipe us all the fuck out tomorrow? And Trump attacks them. And they just decide, well, fuck you, and all you got to go now. Would that be fair? Think about that shit, man. You know, I try to be perspective as I can. I try to use all the angles. I try to put my shoes on. I go within the group, and all I feel is the love. And everybody walking by, just, they're terrorists, you know, or they deserve it. They're radicalized. They're, you know, it's like, what the fuck? I'm not saying everyone, damn it, because I didn't. Obviously, I didn't. Half of us were cheering Free Gaza, half of us weren't. It's dishonesty. The Palestinians see it. Islamic people see it. And just because a Democrat might treat you less worse doesn't mean that's how you vote. You know what less worse is? You know, it's like the stupidest fucking thing to ask a person. Hey, listen, I can break your leg in 4 spots or 2. Pick. What choice is that? What fucking choice is that, really? I'm going to break you halfway or all the way. Pick. Is that a choice? I would have sat out too. That's what I kept saying. You know, I made a video about them. I would have sat out too. It's dishonesty, guys. It's dishonesty. And if you want to be honest, you'll fix that shit with yourself. You'll understand that you demand empathy. If Trump fucking went and attacked Greenland, and Greenland decided tomorrow, and they had the tech, and they had the military, and they had the means to just wipe us the fuck out, you would have a whole different fucking opinion about that shit. You really fucking would. So a few things. If you stuck with me this long, 40 fucking 2 minutes is a long ass video, man. Even for a bloke like me to keep on points and try to bring home shit. If you stuck with me this long, there's a few things a protester right now should understand. Okay? Right now, everything's peaceful. Right now, we're trying to encourage you to come. Right now, we're trying to get our minds organized. And right now is the time to lower your fucking guards down a little bit and look in the mirror. If you're going to fucking go out there and attack every fucking buddy wearing a red hat just because they have a red hat on, is the same thing as attacking everybody that looks Arabic or wants freedom for Palestinians. It's the same difference, man. You know, the guy with the red hat that did nobody harm yet isn't their fault for not understanding, man. Think about how many people don't understand. Think about the level of fucking propaganda that has to be fed to these people constantly to keep them hoodwinked. There's a whole mechanism of billionaires funneling shit to these people, trying to keep them locked. And they're doing a fucking good job of it. And we're out there, you know, and we poke fun as we should. We should be calling them stupid. We should be saying that's a stupid belief. We should be saying we don't know how you can follow a criminal, felon, fucking rapist. We should be. But don't blame them. Don't blame them for not having the ability and power to withstand the level of propaganda the earth feeds them constantly. It's coming from the church they go to. It's coming from their best friend. It's coming from every news media, and it's coming from the internet. And you're asking that person to go through all that, figure it all out with whatever tools they had in the bag to begin with. And yet, our own people, our own fucking people, can't see the genocide of Palestinians as a crime. As a crime. They can't see it as a crime. They see it as a reaction to a different crime. And it's a bullshit stance. And we have to be empathetic to the red hats, to the Palestinians, to each other, to everybody that isn't doing harm. The only people we're not empathetic to are the fucking harm causers. Period. You know, even my own friend would never raise his hand to hurt an Islamic person, ever. Ever. He would never raise a hand to harm you unless you came at him. But he's twisted, I think. Or I am. One of us is twisted. One of us has got this shit ass backwards. And all I can see is their suffering. All you can see is the crime. Who's got it right? Who's being empathetic and who's not? Who is going to combine us all and who is going to divide us all with that fucking idea? So if you're going to be going to these protests, feel your power. Get your voice heard. Get out there, man. Now's the time. Encourage others. It's peaceful as fuck. There ain't nothing going on that's anything to worry about except follow the laws, don't litter, watch where you're going, just be nice. Be polite and everything's fine. You're going to get bumped. You're going to bump somebody. Just be polite. It's fun, man. It's fun as fuck. And when you go there, try to understand others' suffering. Because when we all understand it, we can all get together and work on the fucking solutions. You leave out a group, you might as well fucking start over and figure it out again. Because that's the same thing as leaving out immigrants at MAGA. It's the same shit. It really fucking is. And it's just small potatoes when you think about how easy it would be just to fix shit with a little empathy. And we're out there stomping our ground for everyone to have empathy. And half of us don't. Or a group of us don't. And the people that we don't have empathy for see it like we see the sky is blue. We're the ones that don't see that we don't have it. They see it. And I hope we wake up to that. So, I'm sorry to drag this video on. So, I'm just going to bring it home with just the last thing is that Jamie Raskin's a fucking hero. And the fact that I got to shake his hand and he came back from it was a big deal. The fact that I got to go to DC and see all this shit was a big fucking deal. And if you don't get out there and start doing it, you won't know how much of a big deal it fucking is. There's kids out there. There's all sorts of people out there. Everyone's having a good time. This isn't a protest of violence. You want to see a day of love? You should have been there yesterday at the Capitol. And the only love I didn't see is a fucking misunderstanding. Anyway, just a thought. I love y'all. And I hope you have a really fucking great day. And I hope you can actually watch this fucking video for this long. It's just, I know if I see something an hour long, it's hard for me to want to watch one. Anyway, love y'all. Bye.